That Xenoblade Chronicles is my favorite franchise comes as no surprise to anyone anymore. But when Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out, I thought it will never be on the same level as its predecessors. But holy shit, I was wrong. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a connection between the first and second parts of the franchise and connects them to give us the end of the Glass trilogy. Well, technically Future Redeemed did, but you get my point. So today I wanted to rank all chapters from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 from worst to best in my personal experience. Of course, spoiler alert, if you didn't beat the game yet, stop watching this video now. And if you did beat it or you don't really care, please continue the video. I've done this once before with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is my favorite game from the franchise, and it was really well received and it's currently my most popular video on the channel, so I thought it would be a good idea to do this with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 as well as 3. Now you might think, why are you doing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 first instead of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive? That makes no sense. I really want to do it in the order from which I beat first, to which I most recently finished. So now I still remember a lot from my first experience of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 almost a year ago, and I only beat Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive about 6 months ago. So if I do Xenoblade Chronicles 1 now and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 after, I would forget more and more stuff of my first playthrough, which I want to share as many details as I can remember. So Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has 7 chapters in total, which are all masterpieces in my opinion. So if your favorite chapter is at the very bottom, it means I just don't like it as much as the others, but still find it a banger. And at the end of the day, it is my personal opinion after all. Anyway, let's start with the video. At number 7, we have Chapter 2, Mobius. It's Morbin time. As I said earlier, if there's a chapter at the bottom, doesn't mean it's bad, because this chapter is far from bad. This chapter mainly takes place in the Icha region, but also takes the player to the Forest region. Few highlights of this chapter are the cutscene that changes the party to each other's class, Lance jumping into the water and Uni calling him a Muppet, and of course the battle against Silvercoat Ethel, which is one of my favorite characters of the game, and Consul K, which is not one of my favorites. As for the areas, they are not the sickest areas of the game, but they were still super fun to explore and to know every point of the area. I think I put chapter 2 in last place mainly because there isn't much game changing going on like 5 of the 7 chapters do, and I think overall it's just a bit weaker than the rest of the game. Still, I found the Silvercoat Ethel battle really sick and how it was introduced. For number 6, we got chapter 3, Sophronias. As I just said, chapter 2 is not game changing in my opinion, and chapter 3 is also not really game changing. But it is still a very sick chapter. The only thing that was game changing in this chapter was the introduction to heroes. That we got Ethel as a hero, and after freaking 5 minutes we cannot use her. What the fuck? We also got to see the old Yoran. Whoa, never mind. Furthermore, this chapter was mainly for collecting heroes. For example, you had to do the hero quest for Valdi, ability wall climbing, and Riku Manana, where you got Fidget Spinner Manana. Who doesn't want that? However, there are even more heroes that you can unlock in this chapter. You can unlock Xeon, Grey and Teach. So it was a little bit packed with heroes. Chapter 3 was a pretty fun chapter, but it was mainly side quests and hero quests incorporated into the main quest. Also in my first playthrough, it took me an hour to get to Grey's hero quest, which only took 5 minutes or something to follow these stupid steps. Huh? At number 5, we got the first chapter, Ouroboros. Huh? Now we start with the sick chapters. Chapter 1 begins with Noah, Uni, Lance and Yoran as children on the Queen's anniversary, aka Malia Antiqua. Until time suddenly stops and we got a transition in the world of Ionios that we know. A battle between the two nations, Kevis and Agnes. You can guess what makes this chapter so good, but it is indeed the end. Noah, Uni and Lance appear to have the same objective as Mio, Tyron and Senna, and fight against each other until Guernica Vandham, which is totally a new character, jumps in, who of course dies 15 minutes later and tells them who their real enemy is. Mobius, I'm sorry. Moments later they have their first encounter with Mobius, I'm sorry, and he kills Mamba and Hecht. Just casual. I don't know why, but this scene always gives me goosebumps, and I just don't know why.
What is that thing?
Never seen anything like it before.
Uni! Uni! What's wrong? What is it? Seen that thing before?
No, how could I have?
It's also weirdly one of my favorite moments from the entire game, and I don't really know why. I just always get goosebumps. From now on, everyone sees them as the enemy, which you can see in the upcoming chapters. At number 4 we got the final chapter, Time Moves Again. Before I started this ranking, I really thought about putting this chapter in second place or something, but if I look at what the other chapters have to offer in contrast to this chapter, this one is a bit weaker. The highlight of course has to be the final fight against Zed, and the ending with the iconic Xenoblade 2 photo.
Let's show him a thing or three.
The fight lasted that long and it also had about 7 phases in total. However, after the fight you were rewarded with a very emotional ending, where I of course cried. Sucks to be me, huh? As now for our top 3. At number 3 we got Chapter 4, Life. This chapter is so unbelievably good. Noah and the party continue their adventure to get to Sword March, but must first go to Gav's castle. Meanwhile, we get one of the best cutscenes in the entire game, casual Xenoblade momentum of course, and then we finally arrive at Gav's castle. But we need to go back of course, because we have to do Ashera's hero quest at Colony 11. Now that we've done Ashera's poop hero quest, we're finally going to Gav's castle, where suddenly these 3 unique monsters are jump scare! Once they arrive in the empty throne room, the party finds out that they have to leave now. But Noah thinks, fuck you guys, and continues into the throne room. Then we got the epic reveal that no one saw coming. The Queen of Chaos is simply Melia Antiqua from Xenoblade Chronicles. I hadn't seen this coming. Oh, never mind, it's just a robot. Of course, this is also the highlight of the chapter, and this was also the first moment where I thought, this is really a Xenoblade Chronicles plot twist, or a Xenoblade Chronicles moment. But don't you worry, we still have a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles plot twists to go. Uh-oh. In second place we got Chapter 5, Eclipse. Probably half have had a heart attack by now, but I find this chapter slightly weaker than the number 1, by a tiny bit. Of course, in this chapter Mio dies, casual Xenoblade moment, and we get the epic introduction to one of the most iconic characters from the game, Gondor.
You got a problem with it?
But I think the next chapter is slightly better. This chapter starts with Monica and Shania meeting the party, which later leads to the city. The city is by far one of the most aesthetically pleasing areas of the game in my opinion, but there could just be my love for cities. When we were just sailing the boat in the meantime, we no longer paid attention to our speed, and we drove too fast and are now in prison! Oh no! After 3 days, Noah, Gondor and the rest went to carry out their plan, until suddenly the whole Taylor Swift fanbase was waiting for us. After a sick cutscene, a battle against MNN, we got a step away. And oh my god, it hit my feelings well, to say the least. After a step away, we get perhaps the most emotional cutscene in the entire game, maybe the entire franchise, I don't really know. But we also got to hear Nia's voice, which is my favorite character from all the Xenoblade games, so I was pumped about that. After a very sad cutscene, the homecoming of Mio, and beheading Noah, this chapter ended with a cliffhanger. And now for number 1, we got the cliffhanger. Chapter 6, Choices. Before I started this ranking, I was actually convinced that Chapter 5 would be number 1 because of the death of Mio and Step Away. But if you think about it, what happens after? Chapter 6 is just phenomenal! Just a cutscene with the reveal that Mio and M have switched bodies, followed by the battle with N and the Nia battle. In chapter 6 we also learn more about Byebye and get her as a hero later on. Just this whole chapter is just highlights. It starts with N, Nia, X and Shania, the middle part with Byebye, Kumaravi, Mwamba and Hecht, and of course the end with Mobius D and J, and the real Queen of Agnes, Nia. Can we also talk about the Drifting Souls remix, because oh my god, it's so good. It is generally very difficult to explain why this chapter is so good compared to the other chapters, but even if you have played this chapter and you are really empathize with the characters, I am sure that the chapter is your favorite or at least in your top 3. So this was my ranking video, hope you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, it helps me out a lot and it really supports me. Thank you guys for the support lately. My Pokemon Black and White video has over 500 views, which for a channel with 40 subscribers, it is really insane. So thank you guys, and yeah, let me know your personal opinion in the comment section, and maybe it will change my opinion, but I don't think so. So yeah, until the next video, goodbye!